Hi guys, thanks for joining me this week. This week we worked on solving linear equations and then also system of equations with substitution and elimination. So really important that we understand what we did because next week we're going to be doing systems of equations with 3 variables. If we don't understand the 2 variables, we're going to have a really difficult time with the 3 variables. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into just solving regular equations first because we need to be able to solve one equation before we can do 2 equations. We came up with a little mnemonic device to help us remember the steps to follow, and it's don't call Veronica after midnight. So when we are solving a linear equation, always try to follow these steps, and I'll write them down on each problem just so we have something to follow as we go. So it's don't call Veronica after midnight. D in the don't stands for distribute. So anytime there is parentheses for us to distribute, we want to do that first. So I'm going to do that first. There is a 6 here. So 6 distributed to the n, that's 6n. 6 distributed to the 5 is 30. And then that's equal to 2. So that was my first step. Second step is always combine like terms. So C stands for combine like terms after we distribute. Like term takes place on either side of our equal sign. So right now I have, let's say, 6n and 30. Those are not like terms. We can't combine them. And then we have 2. There's nothing to combine. So actually we don't need to combine like terms. We're done. Step 3, V stands for variables. We want to move all our variables to the left side. We have 6n that's already done for us, so we don't need to do anything there. Variable step is check. A stands for add or subtract our constant number. So the other piece, the piece without the variable, we want to move all of those to the right side. We have a plus 30. In order to move it to the other side, we are going to subtract 30 from both sides. Okay, if we do that, we end up getting 6n is equal to negative 28. And then last step is multiply or divide by our coefficient. In this case, that is the 6 that is keeping the n from being by itself. So n equals to negative 28 divided by 6. Can't do that in my head. Let me pull out my calculator. Negative 28 divided by 6. And we get negative 4.6. That's okay. Repeating, okay? Okay. Alright, let's try another one. You can pause the video here and do it by yourself if you want to before we go over it. Otherwise, I am going to get started. So this is don't call Veronica after midnight. The D in don't stands for distribute, so we're going to distribute out into our parentheses. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative 7y becomes negative 14y. And we do not distribute to the negative 5. That's absolutely incorrect because negative 5 is not inside the parentheses. We just bring everything else down. That was step 1, distribute. Step 2 is combine like terms. So on my left side of my equal sign, I have 4 and negative 5 can combine to give us negative 1. Bring down the minus 14y, since there's nothing for us to combine there. And then now let's take a look at our right side. On our right side, we have 111. There's nothing to combine with, so we're just going to bring that down. Next step, V. Move all our variables to the left side. That's already done because our y is already on the left side. Nothing for us to do there. Next step, add or subtract our constants. We have that negative 1. In order to bring it to the other side, we're going to add 1 to both sides. Don't forget this was a negative 14, so this is negative 14y equals to 112. And last but not least, multiply or divide by your coefficient. We have a negative 14 in front of our y. Let's divide by negative 14. And again, I'm going to need my calculator to help me out here. 112 divided by negative 14 gives us, what's with this calculator? I can't see. negative 8. Okay, so we get y equals to negative 8. That is our final answer. I'm going to go ahead and go down to the, let's go down and do example 4 and 5 because I don't think we did those together in class. All right. Again, I'm going to write down the steps. Don't call Veronica after midnight. You can try these by yourself before we go over them. Step 1 is distribute. There's nothing for us to distribute on this left side, so let's just write it down. On my right side, let's distribute. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 6 is positive 18. Oh wait, we did do these in class, but very important we go over them again. Step 2 is combine like terms. Take a look at the left side of the equal sign. 12 plus 3x, there is nothing to combine. And then on the right side, 3x plus 18, nothing to combine. These are not like terms, so we are done. Step 3, V stands for variables. We want to move our variables to the left side, okay? So I do have a 3x over here on the right side. Let's move it to the left side by subtracting 3x on both sides. And something really interesting is going to happen here. So my 12 I get to bring down, right? But this 3x and this negative 3x, they're going to cancel each other out. They disappear. So I get 12 equals to 18. And this is not true. 12 is never equal to 18 no matter what x is. So when something like this happens, we get no solution. And that is a valid answer, okay? The answer is not 0. There is just no solution. Let's go ahead and take a look at example 5. It's fractions, but not like we're doing anything different. So don't call Veronica after midnight. Pause the video and try to do this one by yourself before we go over it. All right, let's start. Nothing to distribute on the left side, so I'm just going to bring everything down. 5/6w plus 21 equals, and now we distribute. You could just use your calculator to multiply. You don't need to do any of this in your head. Negative 1/3 times 2 is negative 2/3 w. Negative 1/3 times 9 becomes positive 3. So that's our distribution. Next step is combine like terms. Let's take a look at our left side. We cannot combine 5/6w and 21. Those are not like terms. And then let's take a look at our right side. We cannot combine negative 2/3 w and 3 because, again, those are not like terms. Next step is to move our variables to one side, to our left side preferably. So I have negative 2/3 w. I'm going to add 2/3 w to both sides. And it's okay, okay? Just don't freak out just because it's a fraction. Let me show you what you do on your calculator. I have 5/6, so we do alpha y equals 5/6. And what we're doing is we're adding 2/3 to it. Okay, so just like you would use your calculator for whole numbers, you do the same thing for fractions. I don't know what's wrong with this calculator lately. We have 1.5. So this was 1.5w plus 21 equals to 3. That's our moving variables step. Next, we want to add or subtract our constant. So in this case, we have a 21. I'll subtract 21 from both sides. I get 1.5w equals to negative 18. And then last but not least, we are going to divide by 1.5, divide by our coefficient. You can use your calculator, but I know we're going to end up getting negative 12. All right, so that was the linear equations. Let's move on to systems of equations now, all right? Let's go down to more practice on page 8. So you can go ahead and try. We're going to do questions 1 and 3, all right? Questions 1 and 3 for substitution. Pause the video, and then I'm going to start. All right, so I noticed that the first equation has y equals to negative 2x minus 3. I'm actually going to box what it's equal to. And we're working with y. So in my second equation, I want to box that y also. And now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the second equation. Negative 8x minus 6. And instead of y, we're going to put parentheses. Okay, so all I did was where there was a y, I filled it in with a parentheses because we are going to substitute for that. And y was equal to, we're going to use our first equation, negative 2x minus 3. Now we have a regular linear equation. Remember, don't call Veronica after midnight. Let's follow these steps. D stands for distribute. Let me bring this down first. We are distributing a negative 6, so be really, really careful that you take that negative with it. Negative 6 times negative 2x is positive 12x. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. And that's equal to 6. Done. Step 2, combine like terms. Negative 8x and positive 12x, that gives us 4x plus 18 equals to 6. Step 3, move all your variables to the left side. Done. Step 4, add or subtract your constant. In this case, it's 18, so I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. You get 4x equals to negative 12. And last but not least, multiply or divide by your coefficient. In this case, it's 4. We did all this work and we are not done, okay? Since this is a system of equations where I have two equations, you need two answers. So I have my x value. I need to go ahead and solve for my y value. The best way to do that is to plug into that first equation where y is already solved for. Y equals to negative 2x minus 3. And we're actually using substitution again because instead of x, we're plugging in what x was equal to. Okay, you can go ahead and plug this into your calculator. You end up getting 3. We want to write our final answer as a coordinate pair. Remember, when we do this, x comes first. So I get negative 3, comma 3. All right, let's take a look at question 3. Again, pause the video so you can try to do this by yourself first. Otherwise, I am going to get started. My first equation has y equals. I'm going to box it. Realize you're substituting in for y, so we're going to replace y here. I'm going to rewrite this equation. Negative 2x plus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to replace it with parentheses equals negative 24. And what is y equal to? Y is equal to 8x minus 8. All right, it's a regular equation now. We have one variable, so we can use don't call Veronica after midnight. So I have negative 2x, and let's distribute this 3. 3 times 8x is plus 24x. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24, and that's equal to negative 24. Done. Step 2, combine like terms. Okay, so my like terms on the left side of my equation are negative 2x and 24x. That gives us 22x. Minus 24 equals to negative 24. Step 3, move all your variables to the left side. That's actually already done for us because the x's are all already on my left side, so I don't need to do anything. Step 4, add or subtract your constants. So I'm going to add 24 to both sides, and do not freak out by what happens. We end up with 22x equals to 0. And let's finish this off though. Last step, multiply or divide by your coefficient. We're going to divide by 22. And we end up getting x equals to 0. And that is absolutely a valid answer. I think a lot of times when we get that, we freak out. We think we did something wrong. But 0 is a valid answer, okay? It's just, we're not done yet. We got to find our y value. Y equals to 8x minus 8. Let's plug in. Y equals to 8 times 0 minus 8. And y is equal to negative 8. This means that our point of intersection, so our final answer, is going to be 0, negative 8. All right, this was substitution. We learned one more method last week on how to solve systems of equations, and that was elimination. So go ahead and join me on this next page, on page 11. I'm going to do example 3 together. So, when we're solving with elimination, notice that none of the equations have y equals or x equals, so none of the variables are isolated. they're lined up, what we want to be able to do is to eliminate one of the variables. In order to do that, we need opposite coefficients. Okay? In order for it to be less confusing for us, we just came up with a strategy where all we're going to do is multiply by the other equation's coefficient. So this first equation, I'm going to multiply by 2 since there is a 2 on the bottom. And the second equation, I'm going to multiply by 5 since there is a 5 on the bottom. There is one more thing we have to look out for. Since they're both negative, I need to make sure one of them becomes positive. Up to you which one. I'm just going to do the first one, okay? I'm going to change that into a negative, so when I multiply, the entire thing becomes positive. Okay, we're going to distribute. This gives us positive 10x plus 14y equals negative 30. And then go ahead and distribute for this bottom equation as well. This becomes negative 10x, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I want because I wanted opposite coefficients. Plus 25y equals to 30. And now we're just going to add straight down. If we add our equation straight down, the x's will eliminate. That's exactly what I wanted. I got 39y is equal to 0. Solve for y, divide by 39 on both sides. I get y is equal to 0. And now we need to solve for x. Unlike substitution, we don't have an equation where x is already solved for. You just want to choose the equation, in my opinion, with the less negatives or the smaller numbers. In this case, I'm going to use the second equation. So negative 2x plus 5y equals to 6. And then let's go ahead and plug in for y. I get negative 2x plus 5 times 0 equals to 6. All right, you can follow, don't call Veronica after midnight. Distribute, this becomes just 0. So negative 5 times 0 cancels out. Combine like terms, nothing to combine. Move your variables to the left side, done. Add or subtract our constant. There is nothing for us to add or subtract to the right side, so we're down to that last step already. Divide by negative 2 on both sides. We get x equals to negative 3. Make sure you are writing your final answer in coordinate form. X value comes first, so negative 3, followed by our y coordinate, 0. Let us do one more. Let's look at this you try. Go ahead and pause the video and try to do it by yourself first before we go over it. There was something we didn't go over in class, but since you're watching this, maybe we can try to eliminate the y's first. How can I eliminate the y's? Let's see if we can come to that conclusion by ourselves. What can I multiply by if I wanted to eliminate the y's? Well, just very similar the way we wanted to eliminate the x, we're going to multiply by these opposite coefficients. 2, because there's a 2 here for the y, and then we're going to multiply by 5, since there's a 5 there for the y. We do have to do one more thing though. Since they're both positive right now, we need to multiply one of them by a negative. Again, it doesn't matter which one, so I'll do the first one. We just use like 20 different colors. All right, let's go ahead and distribute. This becomes negative 12x. Negative 2 times 5y is plus 10y. Equals negative 2 times 9 is 18, negative 18. Let's distribute the 5 on the bottom. 5 times 7x is 35x. 5 times 2y is positive 10y. And 5 times negative 24, I think that's, I don't even know what that is. Let's take out my calculator. Negative 24, I believe it's 120. Yes, negative 120. Okay, and it is working out, right? I must have messed up somewhere. I did. This was supposed to be negative 10. And really good check for myself because those were supposed to be opposite coefficients. All right, now I can add straight down. I know the y's are going to cancel. Let's see what happens here. Negative 12 plus 35, you get 23x equals 2. If I add these together, you get negative 1. Nope. Yes. 238. 138. Sorry, I'm having like major issues right now. All right, let's see if that divides. Negative 138 divided by 23. And we get negative 6. So x equals to negative 6. And again, we're not done because we need to plug in. I'm going to use the first equation because even though the numbers that I'm multiplying are bigger, all of them are positive numbers. Okay, I like that. 6x plus 5y equals to 9. I'm going to plug in here. Plug in for our x value. This is negative 36 plus 5y equals to 9. We're going to add 36 to both sides. We get 5y equals to 45. And then divide by 5 on both sides. We get y equals to 9. Let's write our final answer. Remember, x coordinate must come first. Negative 6, 9. Alright guys, thank you for joining me today. And any questions, feel free to text me, email me, comment on Google Classroom, leave a comment on this video, or ask me in person. Alright, thank you for watching today. I hope you will continue to watch these videos and we'll continue to do the best for ourselves. I will see you in class. Bye.